Hey guys, Seth at Hub City Vintage, and today I thought it might be fun to take a quick look at what it takes to go from 150 meters all the way down to 300 meters. For you math whizzes out there, that's double the depth rating, and according to Seiko, it takes about double the effort to get the job done. We'll start with this guy. This is the 6309-7049, Seiko's top-selling diver still to date, and in 1977 when this watch was released, it was just about the perfect 150 meter watch. Quite a few steps up from their earlier efforts at 150 meter dive watch, and really did do a good job of getting the job done. So let's just start moving from the top down. Of course, at the top, and what makes it a tool diver is one of the aspects is going to be this bezel here, and beneath the bezel, here, let's see if we can tap that out of there. Here we go. Beneath the bezel, you would have this retaining ring, and this has a ledge along the outside that snaps under a ledge along the wall of the mid case here, and sort of acts to hold the crystal and gasket, provides some downward pressure to hold the crystal and the gasket in place. Really, the gasket is what gets the job done here, and you can see along the outer edge of the crystal, you can see the outer wall of the gasket there. Here, let's take a quick look. I think I can show it to you. So that gasket is actually an L-shaped gasket, and a pretty common feature among Seiko dive watches. You have this outside vertical wall and then sort of a horizontal ledge there in the bottom. L-shaped gasket that the crystal literally is seated into, and that keeps water from entering on either the side or on the bottom of the crystal. And underneath the crystal and gasket assembly is this retaining ring here that acts as a floor for the gasket, and of course, some stability for the gasket and crystal as well, and also holds the chapter ring in place. So once this is snapped down, and then of course you have the bezel snapped on top of that as an added bit of protection, then that keeps water from going in through the top. Pretty sufficient job. Of course, you'll also want the same protection on the back side, but it's gone a step further by utilizing a screw-down case back. These notches that you see here will align with a case wrench so that the case back can actually be tightened down, and that rests against a gasket that looks like this. It also has a specific seat on the inside, and then once the case back is tightened down, and that gasket is then pressed from the top and bottom to keep moisture from getting in from the back. And of course, same idea here with the crown and crown tube. You have the crown screws into the crown tube, and of course there's a large gasket on the inside of the crown of this watch, and that really is what does the job of keeping the watch water resistant. The screw down allows there to be some pressure added against the gasket, but more importantly, it holds it still, holds it in place so that it can't be moved while the watch is underwater, and allow for any gaps to form, allowing moisture to get past the gasket. All right, that's pretty much what keeps the turtle water resistant. And what are we talking about in addition to that for the 300 meter tuna? This is the 7549-7010. This is a JDM version of the professional 300 meter, and really just a great watch. And I was looking over these components today and thought you guys might enjoy getting to see this. So this is the mid case for the tuna, and you can really see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, it looks like 5 steps going down into the top of that mid case. Of course, here's the back side. The seat I was talking about for the case back gasket, you can see that channel here is where that gasket sits, and then once that case back is tightened, that does a good job of keeping any moisture from getting in there. And of course, as you can see here, this is our crown tube. It moves very deeply into the crown, and it's threaded along the inside edge here, and that's where the crown attaches. But really, the crystal side is what's so much more interesting. So we have a screw-down case back, a screw-down crown, and a screw-down crystal, which is really going to be the extra effort to further protect this movement at 300 meters then that's quite a bit more of the protection that you get or would need at 150 meters. How does the screw down crystal work? Well, as I said, so first would go in our chapter ring, just like on the turtle, and then to hold it in place and add stability for the gasket and for the crystal is the retaining ring there, and then our gasket would go into place above that, and then the crystal is actually really, so this crystal was pretty hazy when I got it. I spent a couple of hours yesterday polishing it to give it this nice cleaned up finish here. Quite a bit of work goes into it, but they are a very difficult crystal to replace, and you can see why here. So you've got a beveled edge, and it's a frosted edge here, and then there's a ledge on the outside of this crystal as well. There are no aftermarket replacement crystals for this watch that I am aware of, and so if you need a new one or want a new one, you have to find a new old stock, and they are few and far between and very expensive. But this channel, I'll show you why that's there in just a moment. So we have our crystal that goes into the gasket there, and once everything is in place there, then there is a nylon washer here. This will be easier to pick up with tweezers. And this nylon washer works like any other washer would, sort of gives some protection to the outer edge of the mineral crystal there, and also allows us to crank down a bit on the screw down retaining ring, a little more than we would want to if there were nothing there to guard against the edge of the crystal. And this is the screw down retaining ring. You can see just like a case back, it's notched to accommodate a case wrench, and I actually use my bench case wrench tool, case back wrench tool for this one. There's not a lot of, you wouldn't want to use like a handheld wrench just because it'd be very easy to scratch the crystal. So I like to be able to hold that case assembly very still and make small and careful movements as I tighten down that case ring. But this goes over top of the crystal and literally screws. We'll see if we can get it moved a few. Find the thread here. There we go. And as we tighten down on that, it's going to push that crystal. It's going to push against the nylon washer on the top part of the crystal and force it down against that gasket and then that retaining ring that sits beneath that. Pretty incredible amount of work and thought that's gone into this watch. Of course, one of the great things about the Tuna, and one of the reasons it's called that, is once we have all this put together, our bezel is going to snap down right on top of that to give us our diver's bezel, and it also has a stainless steel shroud to protect everything even further. So really just a very well protected watch. This is going to be the epitome of a tool watch, and for a specialized purpose such as diving to 300 meters without having any worry, you would want a pretty specialized tool, and I think that the 7549-7010 is a well thought out tool watch, and it certainly gets the job done. But thought you might find that interesting. Quite a bit of process that went into designing this, I can imagine. But what a great job, and so much more effort to get to 300 than just to 150. At any rate, hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask below. Leave a comment. Tell me about your favorite tool watches. And if you know of an even more complicated diver, we could talk about super compressors or anything else. Shoot me some comments below and we'll continue the conversation. If you guys liked it, give me a like down there, or even subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us over at Patreon. $7 a month gets you exclusive content. You get comprehensive looks at all of our upcoming inventory, such as this Tuna, and we even do the occasional giveaway. So hope you'll consider, and we'll see you on the next one.